Homemade tomato soup is so yummy, and honestly, it's so easy too. I typically use canned tomatoes, but since I did have some left over from the garden, I used fresh tomatoes this time. I started with washing my tomatoes and dicing them into quarter pieces. I used about 3 pounds because that's what I had left in the garden, and then I diced up a red onion. If you have cloves of garlic, I would recommend using that, but I only had minced, so I added about 4 tablespoons of minced garlic, coated everything in olive oil, and then added a teaspoon of salt and half a teaspoon of pepper. Then I just put this in the oven at 450 degrees for about 30 minutes until it was all roasted. While that was cooling, I started my roux by melting butter and adding in flour. I gave this a nice mix, and I always like to continuously stir just to make sure that nothing burns during this. This helps with thickening our soup. When it's nice and clumpy, I go ahead and start adding in my water, and I also added in 2 tablespoons of chicken bouillon. If you have chicken broth, you can use that instead. As you continue to stir, the soup will start to thicken. To give it a little sweetness, I did go in and add about 2 tablespoons of sugar. Then added my chicken bouillon, and the base of the soup is made. You can blend all of your veggies before you put them in here, but I was trying to save dishes, and the KitchenAid hand mixer worked so well. I think it only took me about a minute and a half to blend all of these veggies up. If you want to make homemade tomato soup without fresh tomatoes, then I would recommend doing canned tomatoes, and you can add it in at this step rather than having to roast them. It tastes the exact same and honestly saves you a lot of time with not having to roast your tomatoes. I added in about a half cup of milk and some dried basil and let it simmer for about 10 minutes before serving. We had this with some fresh sourdough grilled cheese, and it was phenomenal.